Hi, my name is Tyann and I am a co-founder of Brainstorm for Brain Injury. I would like to talk to you today about how my child's brain injury affected my marriage. About 10 years ago, I was a wife, I was a homemaker, I was mostly a stay-at-home mom, and we had a wonderfully average life. I ran my kids, I did school runs, I volunteered at my kids' elementary school, and we didn't ever have anything dramatic that happened in our lives. And then something happened and we didn't know it was traumatic, but it changed our lives forever. Brain injury. My kindergartner landed in the neurotrauma unit of the local hospital. We were told every single horrible thing that you don't want to hear as a parent, up to our son might not survive. The impact it had on our marriage was, it started with sleepless nights, which sounds pretty normal. But when those sleepless nights were chronic and they stretched into years, all of the things that you say when you are tired and sleep deprived have an impact. Eventually, those problems were compounded when we saw personality changes, we saw behavior changes, none of which were positive, and we realized that there were all of a sudden all of these new deficiencies and things that our child used to be able to do but couldn't any longer. It was more my responsibility to go to all the doctor's appointments, and I would come home from these appointments, and most of the time it was bad news, and my husband thought maybe I should have a little bit more hope, and I was being overly pessimistic. He thought maybe things could be handled a different way other than what was being recommended, and I didn't know any other way other than what I had been told, and so I felt like that was the way that we should try it based on what the experts had said. He wanted me to change my attitude and my approach, but I was tired. We were both tired. I resented that he could go to work every day and work was normal. It was all the things that it was before our child got hurt, and everything about my life and environment, everything at home had been turned upside down. It was all doctor's appointments, it was anger at home, violence, and temper tantrums and meltdowns when our survivor's schedule got turned upside down and he didn't know how to react or respond. Every single one of our decisions on both of our parts was scrutinized and criticized, and living in that kind of judgment was not healthy for our marriage. In addition, because we limited our exposure to friends and family, it was easy for everybody that we had ever been close to in our lives to start making judgments about the things we were or weren't doing. Neither of us felt appreciated anymore. There was no communication, and with each doctor's appointment that we went to, we realized that the financial burden was growing and this could potentially ruin our lives. Eventually, the arguments turned into the conversation of maybe divorce was the preferable option. And I'm not sure if that's what the catalyst for me to start thinking about rather than just reacting to why we were in this position. It started with something that we thought was going to be a temporary thing and reacting to it rather than understanding that brain injury is permanent, and we were going to have to change some things about what we understood, the way we thought, and the way we communicated and lived our everyday lives. We both had to come to accept that everybody in our house, all of our children, including our brain injury survivor and us, we were dealing with some really complex internal emotions. There was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of fear because there was no way that we could make plans. We were constantly comparing ourselves against our peers and our family, and realizing we weren't making the same progress that everybody else was. We tried individual therapy, we tried marriage therapy, we tried family therapy, and overall, it was all of those things were a very negative experience. That's not to say that therapy can't be hugely beneficial, but it was problematic for us because the therapist that we went to didn't understand brain injury. And it's going to be the case for a lot of people that they're going to try therapy. The first time, it's not going to work very well. It's worth going back and trying again. Sometimes it takes more than one try to find a good fit with a therapist that's really, truly going to understand your situation. It took us years of rebuilding trust, finding new ways to interact, ways to accommodate our brain injury survivor's life that we could both agree on and were effective for our child. we had to decide together that it was okay that our relationship wasn't some great epic. It was okay for it to be thoroughly average, And even the thoroughly average was something that was worth fighting for. And our relationship is certainly not perfect by any stretch, but I think we have found a way to find our thoroughly average life with brain injury and enjoy it, and for it to be something that was worth fighting for.